Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Countermagic cards you should be running, but aren't. Episode 4. This episode, Lapse of Certainty. So, what is Lapse of Certainty? Well, it's an instant that casts for 2 and a white and reads Counter Target Spell. If that spell is countered this way, put it on top of its owner's library instead of into that player's graveyard. EDH currently only has it in 1,273 decks, only 1% of the total decks on their website, and Card Kingdom currently has it at 39 cents USD. That low cost is surprising, seeing as though this is one of only a few white counterspells, and it puts it on top of the owner's library, taking out mechanics such as Dredge and effectively negating their next draw. Now, sure, Lapse of Certainty might only have a 3.155 out of 5 with 110 votes on the Gatherer, but most of the negative comments are just talking about how white shouldn't have access to Countermagic and how it's ruining the color pie. But all colors have access to some form of Countermagic, and this spell isn't powerful enough on its own to topple white over blue in the best counter war, if you will. Lapse of Certainty is a very powerful effect, a counterspell in white. That's hard to come by, and for 3 mana and being able to do as much as it does, this is an effective card that you should be running, or at the very least considering to run, in your Commander deck. Commander cards you should be running, Episode 4, Part B, Mana Tithe. Mana Tithe is a little more famous than Lapse of Certainty, but what is it? Well, it's an instant that casts for 1 white and reads Counter Target Spell unless its controller pays 1 generic. That's right, a second white counterspell. Now, EDH has this in only 1,610 decks, only 2% of the total decks on their website, and currently Card Kingdom has it as low as 129 USD. That is extremely low, especially for a counterspell in white that only cost 1 white. Now, sure, there are white counterspells other than Lapse of Certainty and Mana Tithe, but the older ones are like Dawn Charm, which is 1 and a white, and you can only counter-target spells that target you. That's not really as good as ones that can just target any spell flat out. Now, while Mana Tithe does have that 1 generic, it is still very useful, because if they're tapped out, they're not going to be able to pay that 1 mana anyway, and you just paid 1 white to shut down their win con. Now, Mana Tithe has a 4.255 rating out of 5 on the Gatherer with 110 votes, a little higher than Lapse of Certainty, and most of the comments that are negative really just seem to be talking about how it's fun, but again, that 1 generic kind of slows it down, and it's a white counter spell, and that shouldn't really be a thing, but honestly, this is a fun card, and in Commander, the looks on people's faces are really what sell it. Between that and just having the option in your white deck to be able to counter something is extremely powerful, especially with these 2 equally powerful options. Good counter magic can be really hard to come by, especially ones in white, which is why I recommend you run both Lapse of Certainty and Mana Tithe in your Commander deck. Thanks for watching.